Something you have been holding wants out this week. Something you have been postponing wants in. 7 days will show you which is which. Stay close. I'm Judith. This is Cosmic Code. Numerology here is a lens, not a party trick. We layer the numbers over real history, keep the tools useful in real life. We begin Sunday, May the 3rd, and walk every day together. Pull up a chair. This week sits inside a universal month number 6, care, home, responsibility. It lives inside a universal year number 1, beginnings and bold moves. Together they ask you to start something and to start it with love. Not reckless. Not cold. Rooted. If you want more on the year's energy, there is a link in the description. Here is how each day works. We look at the day's number and its archetype. We pair it with a moment from history. We look at what a child born that day carries. And we meet two people, Claire and Leo. Claire hates waste of time of potential. She ships before ready. Leo waits for the perfect entry point. He builds elegant systems that never quite launch. One of them lives on this street. Let us begin. You woke up carrying something that is technically over. A friendship that ended in December. A project you outgrew. An apology someone never offered. Your body knows it is done. Your hands still hold it. Sunday, May the 3rd, carries a universal day 9, the humanitarian. 9 is the number of closing the loop. If you were born today, you feel rooms before you speak in them. Your favorable number is 9. Your favorable letter is I. Names like Ian and Isla carry this same quiet depth. Your significant years are 9, 18, 27, and 36. You are drawn to work that serves art, teaching, helping hands. Born to make a difference with heart and wisdom. Your growth edge is knowing where your care ends and someone else's life begins. In 1937, Margaret Mitchell won the Pulitzer Prize for Gone with the Wind. Publishers said the book was too long. Readers said it was too painful. She finished it anyway for the closing. For herself. 9 is that, the courage of the last page. You tell yourself you are still holding on because you care. Look closer. You are holding on because letting go means admitting it is over. And if it is over, then so is the version of you who lived inside it. The pivot is small. Release one thing today that is already gone in everything but name. Claire deleted 3 old group chats and sent the apology she'd been rewriting. Leo opened the same email draft for the 4th Sunday in a row. He closed it again and felt the same weight settle back. Are you actually letting go? Or are you just rearranging it? Your money has one closure waiting in it today. A subscription, a loan, an agreement that drains a little every month. The cost isn't only the dollar. It's the small attention it steals. Close one thing. Your body is asking for release, not routine. The tightness in your shoulders has a name. Every conversation you softened. Move in a way today that lets something leave. And with the person closest to you, say the true thing. Not the polished version. The one you have been shrinking. Here is your mantra. I release and embrace higher purpose. What you release today becomes the ground you stand on tomorrow. You woke up with a small voice saying today. Not someday. Today. There is one thing you have been circling for a month. Monday is going to ask you to step toward it. Monday, May the 4th, carries a universal day 1, the pioneer. 1 is the number of first steps. If you were born today, you came in as a leader. You do not wait for permission to move. Your favorable number is 1. Your favorable letter is A. Names like Adrian and Ava carry this forward edge. Your significant years are 1, 10, 19, and 28. You thrive as a founder and inventor, someone who starts things, leading the way with courage and innovation. Your growth edge is remembering that collaboration is not compromise. In 1979, Margaret Thatcher became the first female Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. She walked into a room built for a different body and claimed it. Before the title, she was told to sit down many times. One is that, the step taken before the applause. The shadow of one hides in plain sight. You tell yourself you need more information before you begin. One more article. One more opinion. One more week. The research was finished 3 Tuesdays ago. What you are actually avoiding is being seen doing it badly at first. The pivot is ugly and simple. Do the worst version of it today. Claire wrote a 3-line list and crossed off the first item in 10 minutes. She sent an intro email before vetting the person. She cleared her desk except the one thing starting today. Leo spent 2 hours researching the best project management software. He color-coded his calendar but left the actual work blocks vague. He reread an old successful report to get into the right headspace. Why does a messy start feel more like a threat than never starting at all? Your money today wants one initiating move. A pitch sent, a rate raised, a conversation opened that you have been deferring to next month. The cost of waiting is not zero. It is compounding slowly in the background. Your body wants a beginning, not a blueprint. 10 minutes of the routine you keep planning is worth more than the perfect 90-minute version that lives in your head. Start the small version today and let it teach you what the full version needs. With the person you love, go first today. Say it first. Reach first. 1 is the number that stops waiting to be met halfway. Here is your mantra. I lead with courage and clarity. The door opens when you walk through it, not before. You woke up wanting to push harder. Something is asking you to listen first, and that friction is not an obstacle. It is the day's instruction. Tuesday, May the 5th, carries a universal day 2, the DIPLOMAT. 2 is the number of partnership, patience, and the things that only become possible when 2 people are actually in the room together. If you were born today, you hear what people mean under what they say. You are the one who softens a room without making a speech. Your favorable number is 2. Your favorable letter is B. Names like Benjamin and Bella carry this quality of quiet attunement. Your significant years are 2, 11, 20, and 29. You thrive as a mediator, a counselor, an artist of connection, bringing harmony through gentle yet firm diplomacy. Your growth edge is learning that your voice belongs in the room, not just your listening. In 1961, Alan Shepard became the first American in space. One man in a capsule, held up by thousands of people on the ground, engineers, mathematicians, launch crews running calculations through the night. He was not alone for a single second of that flight. 2 is that, the invisible web of coordination behind the visible act. The shadow of 2 is quieter than most. You tell yourself you are keeping the peace. What is actually happening is that you are making yourself smaller so the discomfort in the room stays manageable. You say yes when you mean not yet. You hold the smile through the no. And the resentment parks itself in a place no one can see because you never showed them where to look. One honest sentence today. Say what you actually think. Leo built a detailed list of prerequisites that needed to be in place before he could begin. He checked his email at intervals, waiting for a signal from someone above him. He told a colleague he was still in the research phase. The primary source document remained unopened. Claire set a timer and forced out an ugly first draft without pausing to evaluate it. She called a collaborator directly to resolve a dispute, rather than sending a carefully worded email. She deleted a paragraph she had spent an hour on because it was not moving the work forward. Are you actually preparing for the work? or redecorating the waiting room. Your money today wants a conversation, not a decision made alone. If there is a shared account, a financial tension, a rate that needs renegotiating, bring another person into it. Clarity between two people beats the best solo analysis by a significant distance. Your body wants breath today, not intensity. A slower walk, a longer exhale, 10 minutes without a screen in your hand. 2 restores through reduction, not addition. With the person closest to you, let them finish speaking before you begin forming your reply. Let the silence settle after they stop. You will hear the sentence they have been building toward for weeks. Here is your mantra. I create harmony through patience. The bridge is built from both sides or it does not hold. You woke up with an idea that is not fully formed yet. Good. Wednesday does not need it finished. Wednesday, May the 6th, carries a universal day 3, the Creator. 3 is the number of expression before perfection, of putting the thing into the world while it still has rough edges. If you were born today, you bring color into rooms. You think in images and talk in stories, and people remember conversations with you longer than they expect to. Your favorable number is 3, your favorable letter is C. Names like Caleb and Chloe suit this bright quality. Your significant years are 3, 12, 21, and 30, the years where your creative voice either finds its audience or talks itself out of trying. You thrive as a writer, a performer, a designer, creating with joy and vibrant imagination. Your growth edge is learning to stay in the room long enough to finish something. In 1954, Roger Bannister ran the first sub-4-minute mile. Doctors had published papers explaining why the human body would fail at that speed. Bannister ran alone in ordinary conditions, with a borrowed track and borrowed time. He went into the space between doubt and done, and he came out the other side in 3 minutes and 59 seconds. 3 is that, the voice that says this now as it is. The shadow of 3 is a full notebook and an empty output folder. You tell yourself the idea needs more development before you share it. What you mean is you are not yet ready to be judged for it. So it stays in the notebook, precise and private, and months go by. The move today is not polish, it is exposure. Show the rough version to one person. Leo built a detailed list of prerequisites that needed to be in place before he could begin. He checked his email at intervals, waiting for a signal from someone above him. He told a colleague he was still in the research phase. The primary source document remained unopened. Claire submitted her work at 80% complete and moved on. She pushed through the middle section, which was boring and technically unglamorous, without pivoting to something more interesting. She moved to a coffee shop when the desk stopped working psychologically. Leo rewrote the opening sentence of his document for the 12th time, finding a new problem with each version. He reorganized his files into nested folders, which felt like momentum. He identified a critical structural issue that required going back to the beginning. What happens to your sense of yourself if you produce something merely average? Your money today wants a small experiment. A new service offered, a new price tested, a new audience reached out to. The pressure to do it at scale is what freezes most people. The small version teaches you everything the big version needs to know. Try the small version. Your body wants expression today, and it does not care about metrics. Dance in the kitchen, sing in the car, move for pleasure rather than output. 3 remembers that joy is information. With the people you love, share the half-formed thought, the one you usually wait to polish before you speak it. You are not asking them to validate it. You are letting them see you think, which is a different kind of intimacy. Here is your mantra. I express myself with joy. The rough version is still the truer one. Yesterday's creative energy has settled into something heavier this morning. That is the day shifting gear. Thursday, May the 7th, carries a universal day 4, the builder. 4 is the number of structure, follow-through, and the quiet dignity of the person who shows up on the unglamorous days. If you were born today, you are the one people call when something needs to actually get done. You show up. You finish. You keep your word past the point where other people have moved on to more exciting things. Your favorable number is 4. Your favorable letter is D. Names like Daniel and Diana carry this solid, reliable quality. Your significant years are 4, 13, 22, and 31. You thrive as an engineer, an architect, a manager, building strong foundations with discipline and care. Your growth edge is learning that flexibility is part of structure, not its enemy. In 1915, the RMS Lusitania was sunk by a German U-boat off the coast of Ireland. She was one of the most carefully engineered ships in the world, 18 minutes from the torpedo to the sea floor. People had trusted the structure to hold them, for carries that weight, the power of what we build, and the reminder that even the most solid foundations require tending. The shadow of 4 is a comfortable trap, and a convincing one. You tell yourself one more refinement will protect the thing from failure. What it is actually protecting is you from the exposure of having finished and been seen. Rigor becomes a holding pattern. Set a hard deadline today with someone who will notice if you miss it. Claire accepted a blunt critique mid-morning and made changes in real time rather than scheduling a revision round. She set a hard deadline for end of day and disabled her notifications. When she hit a technical problem, she asked for help instead of losing an hour to it alone. Leo kept a second tab open to read about other people's approaches throughout the morning. He avoided eye contact with the colleague who was waiting for his update. He convinced himself he needed one more piece of data before the plan was viable enough to share. Is your standard of excellence a goal, or a shield against being seen with work in progress? Your money today wants a system, not another spreadsheet you admire from a distance. Automate one thing so that the decision happens by rule rather than by willpower on a Tuesday when you are tired. For rewards the simple structure that runs without you. Your body wants consistency today, not intensity. Move the same way you moved on Monday, even if the version is smaller. The body trusts rhythm more than it trusts effort. With the person you love, build something small and repeatable. A standing dinner. A weekly walk. A shared task that says, I am planning to be here next Thursday too. For is the energy of that sentence. Here is your mantra. I build steadily and with discipline. Foundations do not announce themselves. They simply hold. You woke up restless, and that is worth paying attention to. Something in your current routine has grown too small for you. Friday, May the 8th, carries a universal day 5, the adventurer. 5 is the number of change, movement, and the opportunity that only appears when you are willing to move. If you were born today, you live at the edge of what you already know. You say yes before the hesitation has finished forming. Your favorable number is 5, your favorable letter is E. Names like Ethan and Emma carry this quality of aliveness. Your significant years are 5, 14, 23, and 32. You thrive as a traveler, a marketer, and entrepreneur. Embracing life with adventurous spirit and adaptability. Your growth edge is learning that staying in one place long enough to go deep is also a kind of freedom. In 1945, Victory in Europe Day marked the end of the Second World War in Europe. People walked out of bomb shelters and blackout curtains into streets that looked the same and felt completely different. The life that had been on hold for 6 years was suddenly, abruptly back. 5 is that, the door that opens before you have decided whether you are ready. The shadow of 5 moves fast and looks like freedom. You keep yourself in motion so that the question of what you actually want never gets long enough to answer. Variety as a lifestyle. Flexibility as a value. And underneath it, a quiet loneliness that travels with you. The pivot is one commitment held past the point of novelty. Claire pushed send on a high-stakes piece of work before she felt fully prepared. She scheduled the follow-up conversation before the first one had ended. She told a collaborator she was nervous and then kept moving. Leo decided the week had been mostly groundwork, and that Monday was the more logical starting point. He spent an hour refining a detail that had no effect on the outcome. He called it deep thinking, which it partly was. If you keep waiting for the perfect conditions, will there come a point where you realize the waiting was the choice? Your money today wants a considered risk, which means knowing the return path before you take the move. The opportunity you have been thinking about for weeks is worth a different calculation than the one that surfaced this morning. 5 rewards the bet you have thought through, not the one that felt exciting in the moment. Your body wants something genuinely different today. A new route, a new class, a pace that surprises you. The nervous system needs novelty as much as it needs safety. With the person closest to you, interrupt one pattern this weekend. The standing dinner, the usual conversation, the way you both default on a Saturday. Reach into it and change one thing. Routine is where connection quietly goes to sleep. Here is your mantra. I welcome change with confidence. The window stays open for a while, but not forever. The week has asked a great deal of you. Today is for return. Saturday, May the 9th, carries a universal day 6, the nurturer. 6 is the number of care, for home, for the people who depend on you, and for the version of yourself that has been running since Sunday. If you were born today, you love through action. You notice what is missing before anyone thinks to ask. Your favorable number is 6, your favorable letter is F. Names like Felix and Freya carry this warm, attentive quality. Your significant years are 6, 15, 24, and 33. You thrive as a teacher, a healer, a counselor. Nurturing with love and creating harmony wherever you go. Your growth edge is putting yourself on the list of people you take care of. In 1950, the Schuman Declaration laid the groundwork for what became the European Union. 2 countries that had been at war proposed sharing the very industries they had fought over. Robert Schuman, a man who had lived through 2 world wars, wrote the declaration quietly, without ceremony. He understood that lasting peace was not a treaty, it was a structure built carefully enough to make conflict impractical. 6 is that kind of love. Practical, patient, built to last. The shadow of 6 grows slowly, and you usually do not notice it until you are already exhausted. You have been generous all week, with your attention, your patience, your output. At some point the generosity tips into obligation, and the obligation tips into resentment. You do not mention it because mentioning it feels ungrateful. The move today is one small specific request said aloud to an actual person. Claire spent an hour reviewing what had worked and what had not this week, without trying to fix either. She left the computer behind and went somewhere that had nothing to do with work. She celebrated one specific thing with one specific reward. Leo felt the pull of guilt while trying to rest. He opened the document one final time, stared at the cursor for a few minutes, and closed it again. He told himself next week would be different, and he believed it. How much of your life are you willing to spend in the rehearsal? Your money today wants to go towards something lasting, a contribution to the home, to a future version of your life, to the people you are building something with. 6 rewards the dollar that builds something real over time. Your body wants rest that is actually rest. Sleep. Food cooked without rush. A long conversation that has no agenda. The productivity disguised as rest can wait until Monday. With the people you love, be present without trying to improve anything. You do not need to fix today. Your attention is the whole gift. Here is your mantra. I nurture with love and balance. The care you give yourself is the care you have to give. This week kept asking the same question in 7 different costumes. When will you stop waiting for conditions that will never be perfect enough? Claire's hardest moment came on Wednesday when she shipped work she knew was functional but not elegant, when she chose the progress she could actually have over the pride she wanted. Leo's document still sits where it sat on Monday morning. A perfectly formatted title page. A blinking cursor. A week of very good reasons underneath it. Claire moves through this week exhausted by friction. Leo moves through it exhausted by weight. She discovers that imperfect shipping is the only path to improvement. He discovers that a perfect plan, held long enough, becomes a very sophisticated way of hiding. Both of them spent the week managing a version of the same fear. Here is the question this week leaves on the table. Are you actually waiting for more information? Or are you waiting until you have no excuses left so that if it fails, at least you were never truly ready? Numerology is a tool for insight and empowerment. Your choices always lead the way. What was actually at stake this week was not a project or a deadline. It was the quiet evidence of who you are when nobody is watching you decide. This week moved through 7 different kinds of weather. A closing, a first step, a conversation held well, a rough draft sent, a structure built, a risk taken, and a Saturday that asked you to stop. None of those days acted for you. They set the conditions. You carried the match. The energy becomes real the moment your hand moves. Somewhere inside this week you saw either Claire or Leo in the mirror. Maybe both on different days. If Cosmic Code is becoming part of how you move through your weeks, subscribe so we keep meeting here. New week, new numbers, same conversation. Send this episode to the person in your life who has been polishing something they need to ship. You already know who it is. Leave a comment and tell me, were you Claire or Leo this week? I read every single one and I want to know. Next week we move into the energy of the adventurer, a week built for movement, for the risk that has been sitting in your back pocket, and for finding out what happens when you finally stop planning it. I'm Judith. This is Cosmic Code. The match has been in your hand all week.